Please welcome animation filmmaker M. Strange.
Thank you, Michael, and thanks everybody for being here. So yeah, I'm going to talk about filmmaking, which we're in Los Angeles, so it's like filmmaking, big deal, right? It's not a big deal. Everybody does it. They're shooting. They block your street. So then I'm going to talk about making CG animated films, which just has a little higher status, right? Fewer people are doing that, but still big deal. Pixar, DreamWorks, whatever, they do it. So we're going to go up one higher on the hierarchy of like filmmaking fanciness, the ultimate like auteur, super fancy you can get. And we're going to talk about one-person CG feature film animated films. So one person making 2-hour, fully animated, 3D, everything films, because that's what I do. I'm actually the only person in the entire world who has made 3 full-length CG feature films by myself. I just finished my 3rd one. And something I wanted to mention is that 10 years ago, I used to live here and I'd come to these meetings. And I had never done any animation at all. And through my whole career, I've never gone to school for art, film, nothing. And back 10 years ago, I told people, I'm going to make full-length films by myself, animation, and everyone said, it's impossible. You can't do it. No, you can't do it. And I had done some little short stuff. And I knew, I had a workflow, I knew it was possible, so I went and made it possible. So now I want to come here and show you my workflow and how I do what I do. So if you're out here and you want to do some big project that people are telling you is impossible, but you know you can do it, I want to show you the proof. So let's get into this. So something I started, because I don't know what to call it when you make a whole movie by yourself and do everything. So I call it personal cinema. So these are my last 3 animated feature films. We Are the Strange, 2007, which luckily got into Sundance, and I went through that whole thing and got like movie deals, but I didn't like what they were doing, so I went back to San Jose and made my own movies. But if you want to go into that like whole Hollywood thing and get production deals and all this stuff, making your own full-length animated feature films that have your own style is a great way to do it. That was just not what I wanted to do. 2012, I did my weirdo samurai marionette puppet movie, Heartstring Marionette. And then I just finished I Am Nightmare. So those are my 3 movies. And the place I got the personal cinema thing from is that Variety did a review of my first movie, and surprised, like when it played at Sundance, like 80% of the audience walked out. We're just like, what is this? Because it was like, I'm from the internet, so I have like a different way of looking at things, and they were like normal people. But the guy that reviewed it said, he said it pointed towards the future of personal cinema, which I never, because the guy knew that like, oh, one person made this. So if you think about filmmaking being a collaborative medium, that's great and everything, but I'm very excited by the possibility that a singular vision can make it from the conception of the idea to the execution to what you're seeing. And I think as this gets bigger, more people do it, you're going to see a lot more interesting and exciting viewpoints in films in the future. So personal cinema. So there was a book that I read when I was in high school called Rebel Without a Crew, and if I write a book, which I'm starting my own animation school this year, so I'll probably write the book, it will be called Rebel Without a Cast or Crew, because this is the way I work, it's just me and my PC, so if you don't have any friends, if you're forever alone, as they say, if you don't like people, if your ideas are too weird, there is a future for you and your ideas. So here's a poster for my new movie, and I do the design and all this stuff. So you become your own movie studio, where you have to do the design, the marketing, which is my worst element. Like, I'm really bad at getting it out there, but you have to learn it if you want to move out of the closet. So, and not that kind of closet. I meant like, you don't have any money, you got to live in closets. I've lived in kitchens and weird places. So this movie was 1,420 fully animated shots, 122 minutes. I completed it in actually less than a year. I started production in March of last year, and I just finished last week. And the budget was less than $5,000, since I don't pay myself. So since you're your only crew, all you have to do is feed yourself and live somehow and have power. So these are just some images from the film with this super low budget. So hopefully I have the sound. I will show you the trailer. This, like, I haven't shown this trailer anyway because we're still working on it. We being me and my other personalities, but let's see if this thing will work.
Now, as you know, this is the town that never changes. In this town, change is a dirty word.
We're cute, precious little children! Why do they have us on Monster Patrol?
I am just worried about the health of the children. Working all day, then patrolling all night.
Children want to change things with their ridiculous dreams. You come here with your dreams. We know what to do with you, don't we?
All the adults just laughed and ignored him as he cried, "I'm being chased by a nightmare." The nightmare was coming to swallow him whole, but he dove in the well. And if you wake him up, he'll come back to life and swallow everyone up to get revenge.
A nightmare hunter? Has the lot of you gone mad?
Tell him that there are no nightmares in this town. You think if there was a nightmare in this town, we'd be having so much fun every night?
He had to become this town's nightmare because this town's dream went insane.
How dare you bring a dream to this disgusting place? This is reality.
Feed me your dream. Let me grow fat with your hopes to fester inside of my belly and melt into malice and pain. The nightmare lives.
So believe it or not, that's just one person doing everything in less than a year for less than $5,000 with crap computers, which I'll show you my fancy setup in a little bit. Hopefully it will dazzle you. So what I want to go through is just my process. I'm just going to kind of flip through it and show you some stuff to kind of just show you how I do things, because to me it's really simple, like, to make movies. Once you have a good workflow, once you have the workflow, it's just about plugging the ideas in and doing it over and over. So I use a traditional production pipeline, I guess. There's some little tricks that I do which I want to show you. So my pre-production is pretty standard, I guess. And I know a lot of things that stops a lot of people from drawing storyboards if they can't draw them like really fancy, like comic book status. They don't think they're really boards, which people would call these more like thumbnails. But you know, when you're producing your own stuff, you don't have to impress anybody with your pre-production work. You just have to be able to follow it, or have your voice actors be able to understand the script you're writing. So I use standards. Yeah, these are my storyboards. So all that matters is that you know what's going on, and sometimes I don't know what's going on, but you know, then I just like reboard them or whatever. So I reboard every single shot. Like, I board every single shot, and storyboards, I've met a lot of people, like new filmmakers, who kind of skip storyboarding because they thought it was this old thing, and they just want to get out and shoot handheld because they can just film everything. But the art and craft of cinematography is made in your storyboarding, when you're blocking out your shots and you're tying things together, so you kind of miss it. So I really, really, really believe in storyboarding, and the filmmakers and cinematographers I admire board all their stuff because it's an art, you know, it's a craft too. So this is my pre-production pipeline, and if you're wondering, you know, there's all this fancy 3D animation software out there, and I use one that's not one of the main ones known for film or animation. I use a program called Cinema 4D, which actually comes free with After Effects now. There's a light version that you could actually make movies with that. So if you don't have any experience and you want to get into a 3D program for whatever, I recommend Cinema 4D. That's what I use and love. So I storyboard stuff. I look at all the elements in my boards, and then I create these things called construction lists, which is a list of all the props and models and characters and everything that needs to be built. And then I draw the concept art for it, and then I go model it. So that's just about my lists, and that kind of, like, I guess if you're doing it in live action, you know, it'd be your boards, and then you'd look at the props that you would need and buy them, I guess. See, the awesome thing about 3D, you don't have to buy anything. Like, you just model it, and polygons don't cost anything. And, you know, you can build a set and then put your camera in there and be like, oh, shit, it bumps into a wall, and you just move the wall. And, like, you know, you can do anything you want, so it's really, really, really flexible. So I can't draw. Obviously, you saw my stuff. I don't let that stop me drawing concept art either, because, there's something about like a lot of the new 3D animation and modeling tools in that they kind of help your artistic skills, whatever skills you have, like say my art skills are maybe like a 3, and then by using all these tools, it pushes me to maybe like a 6 or a 7, because like just say like drawing a straight line or sculpting a straight line, I can't do, right? But these tools, I use a program called ZBrush to do my 3D sculpting, and it has this thing called Lazy Mouse that helps you draw a straight line. And there's just all these tools in all parts of the production process now when you're doing 3D animation that help you, that will do the stuff for you. So it's really, really getting closer and coming down to, it's just about your creativity, your ideas, your ability to innovate, and your willpower. And if you have those things, the technology isn't your limitation. So something that I like thinking when I'm doing the kind of process in production is thinking modular, where I want to reuse things and I want to build blocks that I can use for other stuff. So I'll build sets out of the same pieces. I'll make a doorway, I'll use the same doorway in multiple sets, and I kind of look at my sets. Like over here is on the left is a content browser in Cinema 4D, so this is where you keep all your props and models and all this stuff, and I look at it like a digital backlot. Like, you know, we've seen all the real backlots here where they reuse them for multiple shows and stuff. So you have your own digital backlot. So as I do multiple films and music videos and projects, I keep all my stuff here and I just reuse them, and you can just like repaint things, you retexture them, so you're actually making new stuff from old things. Saves you a lot of time and money. That's what I just said. So this is my digital backlot. There's like my Western jailhouse and then this other stuff, and I've used it in 2 projects now. And something that I do the same thing with the characters. Like my studio is called Mysterious Doll Studios for 2 purposes. I like playing with dolls in 3D, not in real life. That was my first movie, but I'm over that. But also, when you build things in this modular way, it serves 2 purposes in that you can also, like, did anybody ever take apart their G.I. Joes or Barbies and like build new characters with the different parts? So if you may not want to admit it, but you might have, but I'll admit it, I did that. Barbies and G.I. Joes, yeah. So you can take your models apart and then just reuse them with other characters. So every single character in my last movie is based on the same model. So they're the same arms, same legs, same torsos, they're just scaled down or retextured, and it saves you a lot of time. So that's the way I look at it. And also, this will get a little techie, but one of the things that for me, when you're animating like a character that can really like screw things up is if you have like a normal like Pixar-based character that's all one mesh, when they're all one thing, like mine are in pieces, right? You have to deform it, and that takes a lot of CPU, and it's usually CPU and GPU power. But as you have multiple characters deforming, it slows down a lot. So when you have like 4 or 5 characters, it gets really slow and frustrating and makes you not want to do it. So the way I do it, they're segmented characters, so they have different parts, so there's no deformation, so it's really, really fast to work with. So, but again, so it's 2 purposes. I made the doll movies because I like dolls, and they're faster and easier. So another thing in the animation that like, there's usually 2 schools of thought in CG animation. There's like film style and there's game style. So in film style, they have animators, you know, they're on the payroll, they get paid just to animate, and they'll work on like 1 shot for like a week or 2 or 3 weeks on like a 5-6 second shot. They're fine-tuning all this stuff. So they would go through and hand animate everything. They wouldn't reuse anything because they have all these fancy animators, you know, so like they got to use them. But in the game pipeline, they reuse stuff a lot more. So I kind of mix the 2. Like in Cinema 4D, it has these things called motion clips, which allows you to create an animation and then save that animation as a clip. So you can create a walk cycle, then save that as a clip, and then apply it to different characters all throughout your production. And it's like an NLE in that the clips can be stretched to slow them down or speed them up, and you can also dissolve motions into other motions, and it automatically interpolates them. So it's a really, really easy way. Again, if you're a traditional film animator or like a fancy pants animator, I would never use motion clips and blend them. But, you know, if you're working alone or you don't really care about that. And the thing that matters is the audience doesn't care. So, like, I tested a lot of my stuff. I have a 5-year-old nephew. And so, like, because the last movie I did took 5 years because I was modeling all these intricate characters and trying to reinvent the design wheel, and like, nobody really cared, right? And then I was asking my 5-year-old nephew, you know, draw a monster, and he just drew a circle with these little lines. I go, okay, to him, that's a monster. And I go, where's his arms and legs? He just drew these lines, right? And I was like, well, he still has a working imagination, so he doesn't need super photorealistic, ultimate 120 frames per second CGI, right? To him, it's a monster. So when I showed him my monsters for this movie, he was just like, ah! You know, because you don't have to go very far for people with an imagination, right? So I want to make stuff for people's imaginations, and something that can happen in film or visual effects or CG is that you start kind of, maybe you have to do it for your job, but you start having to try to appease engineers, like these people who will never be happy no matter what and are seeing things that the audience will never see. So when you have control of what, you know, if it's like you straight to your audience, you can choose to cut that out and just put in what's important. So for my voice acting, I just went on YouTube and searched for like voice acting demo reels, and I found some really good people, and I just contacted them and, you know, told them how much I could pay versus, you know, via PayPal, which wasn't a lot of money, it was just a couple $100 each. And I sent them the script, and they recorded their lines, sent them to me, I animated to them, and actually the girl on top's like this super YouTube superstar, so hopefully all of her online audience will want to see the movie she stars in. So, and another way to get around like the budget, I had them all play multiple characters. So that's how I did that. And also something that's really exciting and cool that I don't think has been really utilized at all. So, you know, traditionally we want to go to like iTunes or Netflix or some other aggregator or store to sell our stuff, right? But what's happening now is that there's all these different companies, like the one I'm using for this movie is called VHX.TV. It's based out of Brooklyn. So pretty much what they are, it's like your own iTunes store where you would create whatever content you want. Content, I hate calling movies content, but I'll do it because there's fancy hardware here. So you upload whatever you want, you design your art, you set the price, and then you sell it, and then it goes straight into your bank account. But the cool thing is that they have affiliate marketing programs. So something that I do with my cast and crew is that they become affiliates in my production, and they get a special link. So when they share the movie, they get half of the profit of every sale. So it's kind of a way to give a back end, because, you know, I lived here for a little while, and I saw some movie deals, and, like, you know, there's no back end to give people, the dumb people, like, you'll get a percentage of the profits. But the film never makes a profit, so they never make any money. But it makes everyone way more excited if they can own a part of the production. So my actors want to do a better job because they're going to make money off this project after their salary. So affiliate marketing is something that has never, you know, you can't sell your movie in iTunes and have affiliates. They don't do it. But now with these new programs, you can. So I think it's exciting because we can actually start forming these teams, which I'm doing now, and you can actually have them be a part of it. You can contact online movie reviewers on YouTube, bring them in as affiliates, they get a part of it, so that's really exciting to me. It's like a co-op, right? So you film your own kind of co-op thing. So again, I'm just jumping through production and talking about random stuff. So what I do, I break down my storyboards. I'll look at a movie, and I break it down into sequences based on the major set changes. So if it's like interior church, that would be sequence 1, and if it went to exterior graveyard, that'd be 2. So this movie had 9 sequences. They're broken up, but it just helps you compartmentalize your production because then it makes it like you're making 8 or 9 short films sequentially instead of this gigantic project that never ends and it feels like you're not making any progress on. So that's a little tip that I do. It also helps if you finish a sequence, erase your memory, and then come back and you're like, you know, full of energy. You don't think about the failures you just did. So in production, I animate my films shot by shot, and I do it in order. So I start from shot number 1 and work all the way through, and I do them sequentially. And for me, it helps because you always learn stuff and get better. So there was like a philosophy where you would do your hero shots first in your movie, and then do the other stuff. But what if you did your hero shots and you sucked, and then you did the other stuff and you got good, and then your hero shots would be lacking? So I like movies that build up so they get, you know, more exciting as they go on, so it works that way. And that's just a shot of my storyboards and some keyframes to show you the... How many people here have done 3D character animation? Is anybody here who's done that stuff? All right. Does anybody want to make their own CG animated movies? It's the best thing ever. All your dreams will come true. ice cream will flow like I don't know what. So these are just some of the windows. I just want to show you, these are the Cinema 4D windows of when I'm creating a movie. Because I know like 3D, when I first got into it, I saw a Maya demo at this thing, and I was just like, what? Because there's just all this stuff everywhere. And I tried to learn that program, and because, you know, it's like the industry standard. And I lived down here, and I was going to go to Noman. Like, my family was going to pay for me to go to Noman. It was like $25,000 or something. Yeah, it's really expensive. But then I heard about this program called Cinema 4D, and I said, well, let me try, because I felt really guilty to have my family pay for school, right? So I said, let me try this program and see how far I can get, and if I fail, then I'll go to that school, and I never stopped. So you don't have to go to CalArts or Noman or wherever, you know, you can teach yourself. So, oh wait, was there something I wanted to show you there? So, oh yeah. So this thing in the bottom right-hand controller, it's called the visual selector. So if you want to move the character's hand, you just touch the hand and then move the hand. You want to touch, you know, control the neck, you just grab that stuff. So for me, it makes a lot of sense. And then the sliders on the right are the facial expressions. So you would set those up ahead of time, and I try to not have too many. If you've seen like a Pixar making of, they'll have like 500, but you don't need that. It's just because they have to pay these animators so much, they just make them do all this bullshit work, like, you know, so they feel like they're earning it. But you really only need 5 facial expressions. I don't know. You don't need that many. So here's some more showing, if you can read that, these facial expressions. I have a lot of serious, a lot of scared, a lot of shout, you know. So those are all my facial expressions. And I use like a standard. So for every character, they all have the same facial expressions. They all have the same control. Because they all have the same skeleton. I reuse it for all of them. Because there's a process called rigging that can really mess you up. It's where you have your geometry, your character, then you have to put joints in them, and then you have to tell the joints what they can and can't do, and that can be really, really hard. So I build one, like I drink a bunch of wine, and I'm like, stay up, and I build one rig, and I get it to work, and then I just use it for all of them, because it's hard. And I don't like doing that. And there's people in productions called TDs, they're technical directors, and that's all they do. But if you want to do this with Cinema 4D, I'll give you my rig. Like, I put it out there publicly available, so you can use mine. Okay. These are just some more images, because what I want to show you is that CG doesn't have to be like all super technical. It's about filmmaking. So there's a camera, there's a set, there's your actors. You're taking your cameras and you're setting them up, you're animating, you're doing your cranes, your dollies, whatever you want, your Steadicam. You're lighting it with all your standard lights. There's a light. There's a camera, right? Makes sense, not too crazy. Here, is this scary? These are keyframes, look at them. There's so many of them. Look at all those channels, oh my God, X, Y, Z, whoa. No? This is more complicated than it has to be, I just want to see who flinched. But no one did, so you guys have what it takes. What about these curves? These will get you. Look at these. Oh, yep, a couple dropped out back there. So, but you really never need to mess with these. Like, once you learn how to, that's the thing about 3D, like that's why I'm starting my own animation school, because a lot of the tutorials and stuff make stuff way too complicated, and it's not that hard. So I just wanted to, you know, look important. So this is something, I use all the Adobe stuff, and this is something that I use, I call them production storyboards. So I use Bridge, it comes with those for free, but I didn't really use it. So when I animate a shot, I export the QuickTime movie in a temporary format, and then I put them in these folders, and they're in sequential order because the shots are numbered. So then it's like you're working storyboard. So as you're working, you can actually see what you've done. And then if you get to a shot and there's a similar camera or lighting setup from that set, you can just go open the old shot, change the animation, and there you go. So that's a little tip if you want to use that. Oh, here's Michael's favorite part. I'm going to show pictures of my fancy computers. So here's my storyboard. Are you guys ready? Are you ready to see the ultimate system? This guy must be using some, I don't know what, some like multiple terabyte overclocked hexacore. Boom! So I've made 2 movies with this computer. As you can see, all this, the hard drive things died inside, so I'm running external hard drives coming out. The fans went out, so I have 2 fans with paper clips. This isn't a joke. This is what I really use. Okay, there's my router behind them, because then I have my render computer there on the floor, so that's what actually renders the movie. I animate on the other one. And then here's a Oh, I just blew my whole secret. I don't actually do this. I enslaved my Icelandic wife, and she actually does all the work. Sorry. I'm just the hype man. So that's where I work. There's my computer. Render computer's over there. She actually cut that trailer because she's learning animation and does stuff. So we're a team now. I do all the music and stuff, too. I use all this cool MIDI stuff and audio stuff that you can get that's really cheap and fun. Let me flip through this stuff because I'm late on time. Something I do, I learned, like I was doing like 10-bit masters using all this fancy stuff, but now I just use for my masters, I use Photo JPEG at 100%. And I can't tell the difference. It makes really small files. I've made HD cams from them and done all this stuff. People are like, what codec did you use? And I'm just like, Photo JPEG. Oh, so if you want a lightweight codec that looks really good, Photo JPEG at 75 for your offline stuff, because it's lighter, and then 100 for your online with QuickTime. I cut the movie as I go along with the offline one, so then when I come to render it, I only render the shots that are used in the edit and those times, because render time costs power, costs money. When you use Cinema 4D, it has this thing called net render. If you have a bunch of computers, you can use them all together to render your movies. Saves you time if you have the computers. I do a lot of post stuff, but I'll skip over this because I'm late. So in After Effects, I do all my skies and my atmospheric stuff in haze. Stuff that's computationally expensive to do in 3D, I do in post with practical stuff. So I shot my own dust plates and all this stuff, and I layer those in, which I'll go through. So here's a raw 3D render. There's a luminance pass. So in 3D, you can render all the different elements. So that's just the stuff that glows. And then that's the beauty pass with the depth, with the luminance. And that's the final render. With the sky, so those little stars, if you saw it in the trailer, I actually just put a bunch of glitter on a black sheet and then filmed it from above and got a flashlight, went like that, and that's how I do my skies. So low tech. Online your edit, final touches. Oh, so here's every single shot of that movie, right? But the thing to remember, because the hardest thing is the beginning, and every gigantic project, whatever it may be, starts with shot 0001. And all you got to do is just get used to doing it every day, whatever your quota is, and just, you know, before you know it, you're done. Or you're dead. Or you're done. So this movie, it's actually not out yet. It's not going to come out for 3 weeks. But tonight, if you want to get it, I put it up at this temp site, iamnightmare.vhxtv.com, or just .tv. So it's $9.99, or you can get all 3 of my movies for $19.99, all in 1080p. So thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be hanging around here all night. Feel free to, you know, talk to me or ask me questions. So thanks.